Hi, everybody. My name is Miria Gray. I am the Community Education Officer here at Chelsea Groton Bank. Today, we're talking about, are you ready? Is owning a business a good fit for you? And so I'd like to introduce to you Bruce Flax with the Mystic Chamber. Bruce?
Thank you, Mary. I am Bruce Flax, President of the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, and I want to welcome everybody who is participating today and participating in the programs that Chelsea Groton has. We're really excited to be partnering with them and have them in our community. They are so vital to small business and to the community itself. The Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce has been around for 80 plus years, and we're super excited because this year is the 100th anniversary of the Mystic Bascule Bridge. You'll be hearing a lot about that. We're actually going to have fireworks in the Mystic River on October 15th. So, the Chamber is all about community and commerce, and we have open doors here on 22 East Main Street, open every day. Would welcome anybody, any business, any community member to come on in and meet us and talk about the community. We'll also be, we're always looking for volunteers to help us in our office and with our programs this year. So if anybody is interested in that, I would welcome them to reach out to us at our office, through our website, through email, and appreciate Maria having us be involved. So thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks for being here. And so I'm going to bring in Jen and have her talk to everybody about what she does.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Superling, and I'm the Cash Management Officer here at Chelsea Groton. So I work with a variety of businesses, big and small, but I'm very passionate about working with small businesses in our community and watching them grow, providing them education, and really seeing them follow their passion and being successful. And I think that's one of our missions here today. So we hope you enjoy the program.
Awesome. Thank you. And so today we're going to be talking about, is owning a business a good fit for you? Everybody should have gotten a packet attached to their email. Okay. So is owning a business a good fit for you? So here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to do a brief welcome, which we already did. And then we're going to talk about what is your motivation for owning a business, because it's really important to understand what your motivation is before you start setting your goals, because different motivations are going to have different end results of what your business is going to look like. And then we're going to talk about business ownership terms. We're going to go through a whole bunch of different ownership terms that you might hear in conversation when you're talking with or about other small businesses. What does that look like? Then we're going to talk about some myths and realities of small business ownership. And then we're going to talk about the roots of power. And that's going to be really important. That is like, where is all of your power coming from? And then start, stop, and continue action plan. So all of this would kind of happen before you start your business plan. So these are the types of things that you would want to think through as you're getting ready to start your business plan. And then we'll just do a brief summary. So basically, this is the same slide. Okay, so on page 5 in your guide, so it'll probably be labeled page 5, we're going to talk about, I just want everybody to kind of go through the list and decide whether the motivations that are on that list are kind of a high, medium, or low motivation for you. There's no wrong answers. So if you want to, so in the middle of the column in your packet, you'll see that Marlena's answers are there. Throughout all this whole series, we kind of talk about it in the business plan, and some of the other people talk about it, but they follow like a small business person, and this one happens to be named Marlena. But the first motivation is maybe you want to be your own boss. So is that like a high goal for you, a medium goal for you, or kind of a low goal for you? That could be different for everybody. somebody that wants to own their own business might not necessarily want to be their own boss, but they might see that as kind of the only way to go. So that might kind of be a medium motivation. If it's a low motivation that you don't really want to be your own boss, that might be something that would trigger that maybe, you know, owning a business is not really for you. I love customers and they love me. This is kind of important. It could be a high, medium, or low, but we all have to realize that as the owner of a business, we're going to be that person that is interacting with our customers, at least at first, probably more than likely. You may hire staff to do that in the future, but oftentimes when we are starting our own business, somebody's timer, sorry. When we're starting our own business, you know, we're going to have that face-to-face interaction with our customers. I know this business well, and I know I can make it work. So is that a high, medium, or low? You don't have to. That could be low for you. You might have seen something, you're not quite sure how to do it yet, you're not, you know, whatever. It could be a high motivation, and it probably should be kind of high. Again, if you're low, you might want to be thinking through, if I don't know anything about this, or I don't know how to get this done at all, I don't even know where to start, then maybe we're not quite there yet, and you want to think through some more things before you start your own business. I want to make a lot of money so I can buy a bigger house or send my kids to college. That can be an absolute motivation for somebody, high, medium, or low. But knowing that that is your motivation is going to give you a different output than, say, I see a need or a demand for my small business. So if you're starting a business because maybe you've been out of work for a while and, you know, this is what you need and this is the way that you see to do it, then great. If it's for another reason, that's good also, but knowing what your motivation is really important. I am great at making something like cookies, clothing, jewelry, marketing. That could be really low, because the next one is I have a great service to provide. So for example, you would be great at making something, right? You're a writer, but you know, not everybody is a maker. Some people are a doer. So like you're doing something. So that could be high or low for somebody, but if it's low for you, then the next one should be high for you. I have a great service to provide. So one of those should be high. I want to create jobs in my neighborhood. That could be high or low. Some people are very motivated about creating jobs in their community, and that's absolutely fine. But again, that's going to have a different trajectory than if you're just interested in that big house and making money for yourself. Those are two very different ways to go, right? Because one, you're on track to be something for yourself. The other one, you're going to have employees. You're going to have a much different looking business. I want to create a family business, high, medium, low. Some of us start a business because it's what we like. In the past, in looking back on history, oftentimes families would take on the family business. But I think we've come to realize maybe our kids aren't in love with what we're in love with.
Have you met my kids?
So just because we love it doesn't mean they love it. Right. But if that's what you want, there are some great family businesses out there. But again, that's going to look very different than if you're kind of in it because it's what you like. So scrolling down, 10 is I want to work part-time from home. So we need to be thinking through that. If that is a high thing for you, I want to work part-time from home, then we need to really be thinking about what does that motivation look like. There's also a space for other, if you have another type of motivation. These top 10 are like typical of most anybody. Some people have different motivations for doing things though. You know, working part-time from home, if you're going to run a full-time business, working part-time from home, maybe that's not for you. If you're a retail storefront business, that's probably not going to work for you. So now I'm going to stop my share just because then I can see everybody's smiling faces. So you can go through and mark what it is. I don't need to know what that is. That does nothing for me. That it's really for you to be thinking through, you know, what is your motivation for doing what you're doing? And there's no wrong answers. So now that we've kind of thought through, you know, why are we doing what we're doing? You can use that as you begin to think through starting your business plan. So that will really help frame out your discussion points of why you're doing what you're doing. We did have a class on planning for a healthy business earlier. If you didn't catch that and you want it, I can absolutely send everybody that link. Just let me know. But you know, this will help work through it because you have to kind of tell a story. You have to tell people, because we all know what we know, right? And what's in my head makes sense to me and I tell it to somebody else, that might not necessarily make sense to you. You're a storyteller, so you're good at, you know, getting down so I understand what you're trying to tell me. And that's what we're trying to tell in a business plan. What is our story? So it's the story of why we're doing what we're doing, right? And to convince others that what we're doing should matter to them also, right? Because that's the important thing. Just because we think what we're doing is important is great, but as a business owner, other people have to think that what we're doing is important and great also, because otherwise we'll have no customers, right? So I could say, hey, I'm going to start a banana clip factory. And for all of you who are not alive in the 80s and you don't know what a banana clip is, like, I think they're coming back though, so it might be a good time. But, you know, 5 years ago, people would have been like, that's a crazy business plan. Nobody wants that. But as the 80s and 90s stylings are coming back, like maybe it would be a good business plan. But I would have to convince somebody why that would be a great business to start, right? Because they'd be like, banana clips went out, you know, 20 years ago. Why is starting a banana clip factory great? And I would be like, well, they're coming back. Right? I could be the only one. But as we're getting through it, you have to decide kind of how you're going to want to set your business up. And as you're thinking about what your motivations are, that is really going to drive the type of business that you think that you should have. And so we're going to talk through some of those. So sole ownership or sole proprietorship. So that is you, yourself, and you. You maintain control, you take care of all the profits or the losses after you pay your vendors and your taxes. But you're in control. But you get to oversee every aspect of your business. The downside, there's no distinction between you and your business. You are your business. And this oversee every aspect of your business can be a positive, but it can also be a negative, right? Because you're personally responsible and it can be overwhelming. So if you're not ready, if you didn't realize what a big thing that it was going to be, how much time, how much work it was going to take, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So, but sole proprietorship for some people, sole ownership might be the way to go. So there's also a partnership. So in a partnership, 2 or more people share ownership. And a partner can help make decisions, offer complementary skills, and invest money. If you do this, if you do take on a partner, as an author, probably don't need a partner,
Don't need
right?
right.
Like,
It's
no.
true.
But some businesses, you might want that. You might want that other person. If you're opening up a brick and mortar coffee shop, you might not want to do it all by yourself. You might want that partner there to be able to help you so you're not having to work 7 days a week starting at 4 a.m. to get everybody their coffee, right? Because that's when people you got to get in there so that when people want coffee on the way to work, it's ready. So that could be a long day for some people. Partnerships in that case might be great, but you should absolutely have a partnership agreement. So what is that? That clarifies what your roles are, because in a partnership, it might not be 50-50, right? I might be the coffee maker, right? I might be the one that's good at, grinding the beans, roasting the beans, and putting it out there. Maybe my partner is good at the backside and is going to take care of all the accounting and all of the books and all of those things. Maybe I'm the people person and they're not the people person. So, it's thinking through, what is that partnership going to look like? Is that 50-50? Is it 40, 60? Is it 30-70? What does that look like? Partnerships do not have to be 50-50. But whatever your partnership, you need to make sure that you're spelling it out in a partnership agreement. And you're probably going to want to bring on an attorney to do that. It's not something that you're going to want to write on the back of a napkin and be like, yep, this is what we decided, and you're 50 and you're 50, and we all are taking 50% of the profits. Your bank is also probably going to want to see whatever partnership agreement you have if you are a partnership.
Okay, thank you. Now we get to make a copy.
All right, so franchise. So we talk a lot about small business, and we think about it, we're going to start it, we're going to build it, we're going to put it out there. But there's also franchise options. So it allows you to buy an existing business. We know lots of those businesses. There are a couple of them up here. Any of the McDonald's, the Dunkin' Donuts, the Starbucks, the, whatever it is, those are all franchise businesses. Somebody else has done all of the kind of heavy lifting. They're giving you the business plan, the business model. They're saying, here it is. You're paying for that, and then you're paying them. You have to pay some startup and annual license fees. One of the big advantages is having access to a known company, right? It's definitely easier to throw up a Starbucks and open the door and have everybody know that going to the Starbucks, you're going to get a good cup of coffee than going to Joe's coffee shop and wondering, right? Like, who knows anything about Joe's coffee shop? So there's the two options. Is one better than the other? No, they're just two totally different options. Home-based. A home-based business is kitchen table, garage business. It can be small in scale, provide a modest income, supplementary income. So this is that if I want to work part-time from home deal, that's you, right? The other thing is be thinking through, what is your product? If you are going to be a tax preparer, you may not want to have a home-based business. Maybe you want a mobile business. You got to think about who's your clients, what is that going to look like? Do you want random people showing up at your house, right? There's lots of businesses that you can do behind the scenes. If you actually have to have a face-to-face with a customer, a fully home-based business might not be the answer for you. But it's great for those, like, I think this is what I'm going to do when I'm going to retire. So I'm starting it now, and then we'll get there, right? So I'm gonna get things rolling. We're gonna get it kind of going, and then when I retire, I'm gonna go full force into this. So home-based, small on the side might be good for that. So again, looking through those motivations, if I wanted to work part-time from home, why am I doing this? Startup or high growth? So this is kind of in our presentation about Planning for a Healthy Business, Rich Balistrati talked a little bit about angel investors and venture capitalists. This is what they're talking about, right? Is that kind of thing that people know is going to rocket before it really hits the shelf. So if you ever watched Shark Tank, like that is the startup or high growth business that they're talking about here, the ones that the angel investors and the capitalists are going to want to see. So if you're a coffee shop, unless you're like creating some kind of brand new inventive way to like do coffee, that this is not you. If you have created a way to like roast the beans without having a huge like big roaster, if you figured out how to get it done so people can do it in their homes themselves, they could order their beans straight from Brazil, that would be an angel. And like, I've created this product that's going to allow people to roast beans in their home safely and whatever. That would be the high growth startup, because it would be like, wow. But a coffee shop is not that. We're probably not going to see a bunch of angel investors and capitalists interested in helping us with our coffee shop. All right, brick and mortar. So this is where kind of the other one was home-based. They're saying brick and mortar. It means that you're going to have some kind of a storefront somewhere. And it might not be a storefront. It might be an office on the second floor in the back somewhere that does not actually have a storefront. But a brick and mortar is that you are physically someplace, right? That you're going to be someplace that is not in your home. So that could be someplace like maybe a Foundry 66 in Norwich, which is an incubator space for small business. So that could be your brick and mortar location. It doesn't have to be that we're going to rent, a building in downtown Mystic. That is probably not the best place for a startup to start. It's in thinking through what is the cost going to be, right? Online. Some people can do like a fully online business. Through the pandemic, a lot of businesses needed to figure out how they could take that brick and mortar storefront and then market it to online. So a lot of places lost their business because they couldn't figure out how to do this. So it's important, and it should be part of your business plan. And as you're thinking through, I want to be a brick and mortar, but if XYZ happens, this is my plan for being able to keep operations going, right? We can't ever plan for, we don't know a pandemic is coming. I mean, I guess like they've been telling us for many years, but nobody really planned for being 2 years
At home.
like at home, right?
Right.
So it's hard to plan for that. It's hard to, we were saying 2 weeks. Most businesses could survive 2 weeks. No business could survive 2 years. So it's thinking through your business plan should say, this is my plan and this is what's going to be. And then this is how I'm going to pivot if for some reason I can't do that. And it might not be a pandemic. It might be a flood that completely wipes out your brick and mortar storefront. How do you keep going with your business so you don't lose customers while you're fixing whatever happened, right? Things happen. We can't control fire. We can't control floods. We can't control, 1,000 things. We have to think about what we can't control and what we can control. What we can control is what our plan is going to be if we can't control something that had happened. Existing business for sale. So another way to go about getting your business is to buy a existing business from someplace else, right? So that might be how you were a successful business, right? So if I wanted to open a coffee shop, maybe I'm going to buy Muddy Waters from New London, right? Maybe I'm going to buy cream from Norwich because they're all existing businesses. I don't have to start from the ground up. I am purchasing basically their storefront, all of their things, their business plan, their customers. I can do whatever I want to with it after I'm done with it, but I am purchasing this existing business. And then I'm moving into that business, and that might be actually their succession plan, right? That's how they're getting out of that business. Not everybody needs that. You're, as an author, you're probably not going to need a
No,
succession
but it's
plan.
fascinating.
All right. So myths versus reality. So this is really important. And so this is also in your packet. And so I will also share again my screen with everybody here. So we're going to talk about myths versus reality. So this is that true or false. So the first is assumption, and we're going to talk about, is it true or false? And, you know, why might that be? Starting a new business can be a huge personal sacrifice to your family. So do we think that that is true or false? I think probably everybody can agree that it is
True.
could be true,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Especially in the building and startup phase of that business, because it takes a lot of work to launch. Sometimes it doesn't take as much work to keep going, but that initial launch period can take everything you've got, right? You should be putting everything you've got into that to launch, because the launch part is the important piece. So it definitely can be a huge personal sacrifice for your family. It should be a discussion that you're having in your household or with whomever. Because, you know, for example, if I wanted to start my own business, that might be something that I would want to talk to my husband about, right? Because we're going to have to think about finances. Like, if I had to quit Chelsea, like, what is that going to look like for our income? You know, what is the next, as I'm launching, what is that going to look like? And then what is my time going to be, right? So as of now, I have downtime because I have an employer that is handling all of the other things I don't absolutely want to deal with, right? So they're dealing with all of those things, but as a business owner, I would have to deal with those. So what is that going to look like? And what does that mean for our family? Two, there are a lot of emotional ups and downs. What do you think? True? False?
Oh, true.
Yeah, true, right?
Sure.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
So I may not have
Everybody
mentioned,
loves you, then they don't call you back. You're like, wait a minute. Yeah.
I may not have mentioned, but like at the start of this, but prior to working for Chelsea, I worked for an economic development agency. So I spent a lot of time working with small businesses to get them off the ground, working with their business plans, finding them brick and mortar spaces, or figuring out how they're going to do online. So it's all of those things, but it is a constant roller coaster because you think that you're going good. So when you look at the graph, I don't know if anybody has ever seen that. It's like a graph and they're like, this is what everybody thinks and this is what it really looks like. And then there's like crocodiles and pits and things down there. And that's exactly what it is, right? So you're going along, everything looks good. And then bam, the bottom falls out. And that bam could be, you thought you had a storefront and then all of a sudden, you know, planning and zoning comes in and says, oh, this is not zoned correctly for this use in this location. And not that you can't do it, but you know, we have to go through a whole process and that's going to take 6 months. And that's not something that you planned for. So now the bottom's dropped out. So then you get to work on it and you're climbing back up and then it looks good for a little bit and then something else happens. So it is kind of like this. There's happies, there's highs, there's lows. And you hope that at the end, you still end up here so that the lows were all worth it to get to the highs. You have to get it right every time. Do we think
I would
that?
say that's false. I think it's impossible.
It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So it's absolutely false. If there's no person on the face of this earth that could do anything right the first time or every time, right? So like we're all in for trial and error. We just have to learn from the errors. So, you know, it's, as we're talking through like our business plan, well, this is what I thought I was going to do, but that absolutely did not work. So what's my next, what am I doing instead? So what am I changing to make it better? You don't have to get it right. You just have to learn from the mistakes and figure out who to ask to help you figure it out. And so that's like what Bruce would be great at the Mystic Chamber. Jen would be great at that. You know, talking to your business banker, like how have you seen other people that have been struggling with this? How did they get through this? How do I fix it, right? You don't need a big cash reserve to be successful. True or false?
I would say that's false.
Yeah. So I always stick a caveat in here that it depends on your business.
Right.
Right? Because if you're an author and you're writing, you probably don't need a big cash reserve, right? If I am a restaurateur and I am doing a startup restaurant, I have no idea what the first 6 months, years, 2 years of my restaurant is going to look like. And that's a lot of businesses fail within the first 2 years because they haven't planned correctly for having funding. So even as an author, you know, if you hadn't said, look, I've got 2 years, like I'm sure you thought through, like I can do, like I've got 2 years, I've got X amount of dollars, you know, whatever it is. You might not need a big cash reserve, but some businesses absolutely do because you just don't know what's going to happen. So the caveat, the answer is false, but there's always the caveat because it's, they put in there, you always need, and you don't always need it, but some businesses absolutely should always have it. After about a year, you can just relax and enjoy the profits.
I don't know what company that is. That cracked everybody up.
I can see that happening.
Yes, there is a lot of laughter here. You know, that is never true, really. And if it is true, if you have figured it out, please let us know. We would love to advise other people on how to make that happen. So, you know, after a year, the first year is hard, yes, and it may get easier because you have figured out a lot of processes and, you know, kind of what you're doing, but it's never going to be a set it and forget it if it's your business, because your business only has room for growth. There's growth potential in every business. And if you set it and forget it, you're never going to reach your full potential. So some businesses might want to set it and forget it, and they're just going to like cruise along flatline. But there's not too many businesses that want to just cruise along flatline. They want to see the income growth, right? If you've made $10 million in the first year of your business, whew, we all want to know how that happened. You know, and we're going to hire you as a speaker to speak to everybody else. It's easy to get loans for a great idea.
Well, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, no. So our business banker is laughing, and our author says no. So great ideas are amazing. It's not impossible to get a loan for a great idea, but it's not easy because you have to make everybody else care about your great idea. You have to prove to them that you have some skin in the game, meaning that you have some investment funds of your own to put towards that, right? A bank is not going to loan you. Think about it like a home loan, right? You always need a down payment for a home loan. And the same thing goes with a business loan. They want to see you coming in with some money. Why? Because if you don't come in with some money, you have no stake in that business. The only person that has stake in that business is the bank or whoever the funder is. And the same thing with your house. If you didn't come in with some money, you have nothing to lose, right? But if you had to put 10% down, you're losing your own money. So you fight harder to keep that house. And the same thing with your business. You're going to fight harder to keep that business if you are at risk of losing money. And so it's not hard. It's not impossible, but it's definitely not easy. And you need that business plan, because that business plan is going to spell out for your lender, you know, what's my end goal? What's my story? Where are my finances? I can prove to you that this is going to be financially stable. This is where my skin in the game is coming from. This is what I need from you. And that's basically all your business plan is that story about where your business is going, proving them that you can get there, that you've got some skin in the game, and telling them how they can help you make that dream a reality. And that's basically what your business plan is. And it's also a guide. It's a map. It's a guide. It's GPS. Like I always say, I don't ever go anywhere without GPS anymore. I even have it on in the car when I'm driving from home to work, because I want to see if there are traffic accidents places. We wouldn't ever drive somewhere new without GPS. Even back in the 70s and 80s, we had a map in the car, right? I mean, it was unwieldy and like we had to fold it out forever, but we had it. We had directions on how to get from here to there. And that's exactly what your business plan is. It's a set of directions that you've written for yourself about how to reach whatever goal is your goal. And so that's why you need the business plan. Successful entrepreneurs do it all themselves.
I would say no.
Yeah, no, right? No, because think about it, right? So who do we know in this whole world that knows everything? There's nobody that knows everything. Like, you might know your business and you could be an amazing chef. You could be an amazing author. You could be amazing at, that doesn't mean you know how to do bookkeeping. It doesn't mean you know how to do marketing. It doesn't mean that you know how to do taxes. It doesn't mean that you know how to be your own attorney. It doesn't mean you know how to do all your own banking. There's 1,000 things that you knowing your business doesn't mean you have to know how to do. You could go to school and learn all those things. You could go to school for the next 20 years to get a degree in marketing and get tax accounting and all of those things, but then you're not being specialized in what you want to be specialized in. So we like business people because they're specialized in something, right? I don't go to, I don't just drive somewhere and I'm like, hey, who here knows how to change my oil, right? I go to a garage to get that done. Nobody wants me changing their oil, like definitely not. So, having somebody else that knows what to do, I don't need to know how to do everything. I have people that do that for me. You will not have a boss. So if
I would say that's true. It's just us. It's just me.
So yes, so it is just you, but in the end, we get to decide our own fate, but in the end, our customers are now our boss because we're catering to them. So in the job world, like me, I have to make sure that Barb is happy, that Lori's happy, that Michael's happy, that everybody's happy with what I'm doing. But if I start my own business, whom I'm having to make happy is my customer. So while I get to dictate how I spend my time, what I want my product to look like and things like that, I can do all that and I can create a product that I really love. But if it goes to market and my consumers don't love it, it's not worth anything. So my boss then becomes that consumer. So again, if I opened a banana clip factory and I made them all yellow, and people were like, well, I didn't want a yellow banana clip. I wanted it to be blue or purple or rainbow colored. Like now I've got 10,000 yellow banana clips that I can't sell. So we do have a boss a little bit. We do get to dictate more of what our time looks like as our own employer, but it doesn't mean that we're not really answering to anybody. You will have more freedom, control, and work-life balance.
I'd say that's false.
Yeah, that's definitely false.
Yeah.
You will probably have less. Anybody that's been working at home through the pandemic knows that it's very easy to keep going when your home is your work and your work is your home. You know, if I'm sitting on the couch and I've got my computer in front of me and I'm, you know, working in an Excel spreadsheet, it's very easy for me to say, well, I could work another half an hour, I could work another hour. You know, nobody's going to want dinner for another half an hour. So I can continue to do this. You really are going to have to start to set boundaries for yourself and figure out, again, using your motivational chart, what are you really looking for? Figuring out your high motivations and your low motivations and aiming for the high ones and knowing that sometimes those low ones are going to be lost. And the last one, starting a business is risky. That's true. It's always true. No matter what, because starting a business, you know, just means that we're taking a chance. We're taking a chance on ourselves. We're taking a chance on our product, whatever it might be. And so it is risky, right? We don't know what the outcome is going to be when we open our doors or our online shopping or whatever it is. We have no idea. We don't know if anybody's going to buy our book. We don't know if they're going to like it. I might like Yellow Banana Clips and then have to wear 10,000. All right. Oh, I had it. I was smarter with that slide. All right. So now the roots of power. So remember how I said you do not have to do it all by yourself. So think about a tree. We all have strengths that help us succeed. We have skills that need to be developed. Even a small tree has to develop a huge root system, right? Because even a small tree with no roots is just going to tip over during the first rain because there's going to be mud. There's going to be nothing to hold it in the ground. So who are our roots of power? So our people could be staff, partners, bankers, customers, our sales. Like, what are our sales? Are we going to set and attain goals? Are we ready to sell all the time? Like developing those types of things. How's our financial? Are we good about securing and managing money and credit? How's our self-discipline about managing time, habits, and energy? We are doing a lunch and learn about optimizing your time, and our Kristen Zimo is going to teach that. She helps us here at Chelsea with those things. We all have to be very good about managing our time, and Kristen is very good about talking to us about how to do that. Her optimizing, it's not time management. If we could manage time, if I could say, I'm going to stop time right now and I'm going to, you know, give myself an additional 20 minutes, we can't manage time. All we can do is optimize the time that's given to us. And so she's going to talk about how to do that. So, do you have people power? So who are your people? Who are your people? Do you have an accountant? Do you have an attorney? Do you have a marketing person? And it doesn't have to be a paid person. It could be somebody like your granddaughter is really great at Facebook. And so she's going to help you manage your social media. You know, it could be, you know, your husband's really great at accounting. So while you're getting going, he's going to help manage your books. It doesn't have to be paid people, but if you're not great at accounting, like that's probably not, you know, something that you should be doing on your own. And working with small businesses, what we've seen in the past is accounting is where things are a huge downfall. To get bank loans, to get money for your business, you have to be able to show profit and loss statements. You have to show balance sheets. And so somebody has to be tracking that correctly. If you don't know how to do it, that's fine. You don't know how to do it. We don't know how to do it. So find somebody that does. And it doesn't have to be full-time. You could hire somebody that you could take care of it and then hire somebody to come in quarterly and check your work, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, I can't afford a full-time, CPA to do my books. Well, that's fine. Then if you're going to do your books, or your husband's going to do your books, your 19-year-old son who's in college is going to do it because he's taking business. That's fine. Then pay quarterly to have somebody take a look at that work, see if there's any mistakes, because it's so much easier to fix those mistakes every quarter than it is to try and catch up at year end at tax time. When people are like, oh my gosh, like I know I had more sales than this. I don't feel like this is right. So who are your people? Who's your team? And the one team member that you should definitely be paying for is an attorney. You don't have to hold them, you don't have to get them on file. You don't have to make an account with them, but figure out, like, go interview some people, find out who you like, who you're going to call when there's an issue. Because as a business person, you're going to have, forms to look over. You're going to have to sign things, contracts. If you're signing for rental space, if you're signing a lease, you're going to want to make sure somebody looks that over to make sure that, you're not responsible for everything. So an attorney, in your mind, you could go out to the Mystic Chamber and to networking and talk to a bunch of attorneys and just see who you really like and say, hey, are you taking on new clients? Would it be cool if I called you sometime? Whatever it is, that's a great place to meet people. Sales power. Who is your salesperson? If you're a chef, you might not be a salesperson. If you're an author, you're probably good at talking to people, but maybe you're not. But who's your salesperson? Who's going to be out there selling that for you? And it could be your marketing person. It could be, it could be whatever. I run the Basra Farmers Market, and I have seen couples come in and one person is the builder of the things and the other partner is standing out in front of the table, like talking to people, telling jokes, getting them to come over the table. Like, you don't have to be good at everything, but you have to know what you are good at and what you're not good at, so that those things that you're not good at, you can find people to help you. Financial power. Do you have finances? Do you not have finances? Do you have somebody to manage your finances? Where's the money coming from for this business, right? Where am I pulling it from? This might be a good time to talk to a financial advisor. You may have monies that you might be able to use, like a home equity loan, but before you do any of those things, you should absolutely speak with a financial advisor, because you don't want to do anything that is going to then jeopardize your home, the place where you live down the road. You don't want to lose your home because you had a failed business.
Right.
Maybe you want to take out, some money from a 401k or, some other retirement plan. But what does that look like? You want to make sure before you do something like that, that you're talking to somebody that knows what that's going to look like on the other side. Self-discipline power. We're, as humans, are really bad at this. We all have that one weakness, that one thing that no matter what, we have no self-discipline when it comes to. Like, maybe it's, you love chocolate or cheese, or, you hate doing your dishes, whatever it is. you have to figure out what that is that you are not good at and make that front of mind. What is always going to be your tripping point? Because if you know what it is and you're watching for it, it's easier to step over it than if you're just cruising along and then all of a sudden you hit it and you're like, oh, I knew that was coming, but I wasn't paying attention. So it's just knowing what it is and then working on that, right? All right, so there is a worksheet in your packet that we can't do here because it's going to take you a lot of time, but it's that Roots of Power worksheet. There, it should be in that packet that I sent to you. So it's working through who are these people in my world. It's a whole bunch of questions. Oops, sorry. And you should definitely take some time to look into that. And this goes with it. Is it professional to ask for help? Well, absolutely. Like, I don't just go about my day doing only my thing. If I have a question, a lot of times I'll email Jen because she deals with a lot of businesses. I get emails from people. Professionals ask for help all of the time. You just have to know who to ask. And these are questions like, how will they react if you all of a sudden are spending 60 hours a week working? Asking your customers, what do they want? What are they willing to pay? So using some social, like if you're ready to start this business, I'm opening up this coffee house. I want to charge $5 for a cup of coffee. Is anybody willing to pay that? So, you know, maybe it's brewing some coffee and standing out somewhere and saying, how much would you pay for this cup of coffee? You know, and trying to get some of that feedback, doing a social media poll, having all your friends over for a party and saying, hey, I'm launching this business. Here's my coffee. What do you think about it? You know, what would you be willing to pay? If it's your friends and your family, just be sure to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, because oftentimes your friends and family will be willing to pay a little bit more than somebody that you don't know for a product. So just be sure to check in with them on that. Other business owners. So other business owners are often more than happy to help. If you're opening a coffee shop right next to another coffee shop, don't go ask that coffee shop for help because they're not going to be excited about it.
Right.
But, you know, if you're opening a coffee shop in Mystic, go to Norwich and talk to Cream and say, hey, you know, what was it like launching your business? What were some of the things that you had, you know, what were your tripping points? What would you recommend to somebody that was doing the same thing that you did? Have those discussions. Small business people are often willing to help other small business people, as long as they're not their direct competition. And I will tell you that most people are not going to drive from Mystic to Norwich for a cup of coffee, right? They want their coffee now. Start your relationship with a banker well before you need to get a loan. You can meet them at a chamber event. You can say, hey, you know, starting this small business, get to know them, find out if you like them. They're going to be somebody that you have to deal with a lot. So make sure that you enjoy spending time with them, that you enjoy them, that you trust them, that you like them, because you don't want to be doing business with somebody that you do not like, because you're going to hate it and it's your money. Potential partners. Look for partners who have skills and experience. And partners do not necessarily mean, okay, bye, Bruce. Partners do not necessarily mean that they're partners in your business. But maybe if you're opening a coffee shop and there's somebody down the street that roasts coffee beans, that is a partnership, right? You're not in each other's business, but you're a coffee shop, you're buying beans from that guy over there, and he's promoting your coffee shop to all of his clients and his customers, because if they want to try his coffee, they can go to your shop. All right. Stop, start, continue planner. So this is something that that you can work through to your to help you along, right? Listing things. Oops, sorry. listing things that you're doing right now, things you think that you should start doing, things that you need to stop doing, things that you think that you might continue doing. So if I'm opening a coffee shop and now I've gone and talked to the coffee shop in Norwich and they told me that their biggest tripping point was that they did not get a roaster early enough, and they didn't make those connections early enough, then I'm going to start looking for somebody that's going to roast my beans. And then they tell me, we really thought through and we ordered in bulk tons of cups and lids and stirrers. And I was like, yes, I would do that. But they said, but we invested so much money in those things and we didn't use them all at once. So now we have this backload. Okay, I'm going to stop ordering all of those things. And then they're like, oh, and we did meet with a banker. We've been talking to our business banker and we're getting our accounts going, and they introduced us to a loan officer, and you're like, oh, I'm on that same track. They're having a good thing with that. So I'm going to keep doing that. So it's thinking through, what do you need to start doing now? What do you need to stop doing? And that could be, I need to stop doing my own accounting. I need to stop doing my own marketing. I need to stop doing whatever it is. It's thinking through your roots that we looked through. What could other people be doing for me? And filling those in. Stop doing those things. Thinking of, what am I really good at? Continue doing those things. And those things that I didn't think about that I was really good at, I should start doing those things. Because a lot of times we're really good at things that we don't really think about, right? Maybe you're writing your stories, but then maybe you're a great illustrator. So you're going to draw your own pictures. Like that could be a thing. In that packet, there's also industry specific self-awareness. So you should definitely go through that and kind of pick out what makes sense to you. And fill out those. And so here's some key points. We all have strengths and weaknesses. The key is to recognize where we're strong and see where we're weak. And in those areas of weakness, we either need development or we need to create those key partnerships. Like, I am weak over here. I am terrible at accounting. So I'm going to go ask Jen, who's really good at accounting, to help me out. I'm going to maybe do it, I'll do my accounting all month, and then I'm going to pay Jen, $100 to look it over at the end of the month, whatever it is. You can figure that out. Have a clear plan of action. Where are you going next? So fill out that the start, stop, and continue sheet that will help you figure out what your clear plan of action moving forward is. Ask a range of knowledgeable people for advice. A great place to go is a chamber, right? I'm going to start a business. This is my business. Like, what do you think I should do? Because a banker is going to have a different answer, then an artist is going to have a different answer, and somebody that's already has a retail storefront is going to have a different answer. They're all going to have different answers. You do not have to take all of their answers. You take everything in, you sort out what you like, everything you do not like, these can go back out. Just remember that they said it though, because remember how we can all make mistakes? If we didn't like something that we said, and so we didn't do that thing, and then it didn't work out, we then just have to remember what it was they said. Include a bank or loan officer or micro lender on your list to start your conversations. If you're getting ready to start your business plan, see if you can meet with a commercial lender and be like, here's where I'm at. What do you want to see in my business plan? Do you have any other businesses like this? Do you have some great advice from those people? Because they do work with those clients. They're not going to give you specifics, but they'll be able to guide you. They're not going to tell you who it is. But. And then remember your roots of power. So the people, the sales, the financial, and your self-discipline, This is all going to really keep you grounded. So while you're up here doing your thing, whatever it is you're doing up here on the top of the ground, these people down here are going to keep your feet firmly rooted on the ground, right? These people over here are helping you with all those things that are your weaknesses. You've got somebody to help you with sales because you're creating it, you're doing your thing, but then how does it go to someplace else? Your financial, make sure you're set in your finance, because we would not own businesses if we did not want to make money, right? We don't just do things because we want to be poor. And then some self-discipline, because we need to make sure that when stumbling blocks come, that we're kind of anticipating when they might come and kind of reining ourselves in for those. All right, and that is all I had for you today. I did not too bad.
You did great.
Time-wise. Kristen, do you have any questions?